As we count down to November 1st, local government elections, we are continuing to give you coverage of the different municipalities. And one that is under the spotlight this morning is Buffalo City, where SK is this morning spending the morning speaking to the different political parties. Let's cross to SK in East London. SK, good morning to you.
Well, good morning, Lebu, and thank you so much for being with us here on Morning Live and joining us here in the smallest of the 8 metropolitan municipalities. And we are in Buffalo City this morning, and as you can imagine, quite a lot to talk about. So represented the people of the city, the mandate they gave to all 8 political parties that we have gathered here this morning. We have the DA, we have the PAC, ACDP, the ANC, COPE, and then we have AIC, the EFF, and of course the UDM. These were the parties that all garnered seats in the 100-seat council here for this particular metro. So we're going to be speaking to the issues, and as we've heard traveling across the country, many of the same issues keep coming up over and over again with regards to service delivery. But of course, there are sometimes mitigating factors, but mitigating to what extent? We have a city here that's seen quite a lot of influx of people due to urban migration. But that being said, how has the city managed all of this? And we're going to look at the good, the not so good, and the downright ugly that has happened in this particular metro. And of course, we invite you to get in touch with us at Morning Live SABC. Tell us exactly what questions you would like us to pose to the elected representatives this morning. And of course, this, I would imagine, will go a long way to help you determine who exactly you will be giving your mandate to come the 1st of November. All right, so we're going to get straight into it. And the parties represented here this morning, starting with the DA, represented by Chantal King. We have the PAC's Sandla Kotwana, and the ACDP represented this morning by Mr. Luke Truse. ANC's Tola Pagati is with us as well as the COPE's Siabulela Simani. And then the AIC, my apologies, AIC represented by Vusmuzi Tutu, and EFF, Tumani Matiwane, and the UDM, Anele Scotty, representing for them here this morning. So without much further ado, because for some reason we never have enough time with these debates, so let's get straight down to it. Municipal officials who are suspended and still raking in full salaries. Let's start there in terms of how the city is spending its money before we even get to the actual complaints and issues that residents have raised. So let me start with you, Mr. Pagati, in terms of the number of municipal officials who are currently suspended in the metro and still receiving full salaries.
Good morning to the viewers at home. Sakina, as the city, we are committed to clean and good governance. So as and when there is transgression of our systems, we deal with that through the disciplinary policy of the municipality. And in situations where it is warranted that suspension be implemented, that we do. In some instances, in the course of doing that, there are some delays in the process of finalizing the cases. And in terms of the law, you cannot just suspend an employee without compensation while the process of discipline is not complete. So this is where we are. But this arises out of our commitment to good governance as the city.
We'll talk about good governance at greater length in a little while, but how many officials are currently suspended?
Well, I wouldn't have that off the cuff, but we do have a general manager, ICT, who is on suspension. That's the high-profile case that we currently have.
All right. Does anyone know how many people are currently on suspension?
Sakina, the issue is basically that even in council, they cannot give you a direct figure of how many officials are on suspension. what the mayor and his team would normally do in council meetings, that on the eve of the meeting they would withdraw these reports. So we don't have speaking time or have the exact amount, but what we are aware of, that we have officials that are sitting at home, some as late back as 2016, 5 years ago, still earning a salary from the municipality. And that is worrying. And then we also find in some of the reports that we read, you will find that some of these officials, when they cannot find sufficient evidence, they just move them to another department. So it's like a jigsaw puzzle, moving everything around from one department, you mess up to another. And that we've raised on numerous occasions with the municipality, but it falls on deaf ears.
So how then do you expect the residents of this metro to trust you when you don't even know how many people you are paying who are actually not sitting in an office and doing a job? And I'm asking this to all of you as a collective because the council has oversight responsibility over the mayor and some of the other accounting officers. So all of you are supposed to know. And if it's not forthcoming, what then? What happens then? So let me find out, Mr. Kotwana.
Thank you, Cynthia. And let me greet also the viewers. Sakina, we're dealing with a pandemic when it comes to issues of corruption, when it comes to issues of cases which are actually put forward by people when it comes to the ruling party. The issue of numerical strength in council, it becomes a problem because most of the things have to be voted on in order for them to be put on the agenda and be debated on the council. When the ruling party or the leading party in the metro is not comfortable with that, it uses its numerical strength. It's not only just in the council. I think it's on the news that the Premier of the Eastern Cape has a case against him. And what happens? They are still going to use the numerical strength to defend corruption. We have cases here where people are actually having cases in court which have stolen stolen copper, municipal officials. They are being defended by the same party in the council. So what becomes a problem? If you are not in majority in the council, it becomes a difficult process. So these particular reports, when they are requested and needed, if they don't want to give you, they want to protect their cronies. Because we've seen now, if you touch me, I touch you as well. So people in council are also being blackmailed because even those who are inside, they have their own cases and it becomes very difficult. It's a shame.
So I have a bit of an issue because I actually expect all of you to actually have a handle on the issues here, even though you may not be able to do anything about it given the numerical disadvantage. It's a 60-40 split between the African National Congress and the opposition parties in terms of the actual seats garnered. But how much is being spent, Mr. Tuse? How much are you spending? How much are you paying officials sitting at home?
It's firstly, I will say it's an indictment on the city to have officials that are suspended for a prolonged period, because if you have got somebody that is suspended, you will have somebody who will acting in that position, and that person will be paid an acting allowance. Now, one of the problems with regard to the issue of slow progress in dealing with these matters, some of the issues have been occasioned by the people that are affected, but another challenge is attributed to the capacity of the officials that are dealing with the disciplinary issues, of which some of the issues should have been resolved long time ago. You have the issue of capacity, minus the issue of those people, for instance, who are causing delays themselves. It does cost the city. It does have impact on sales and service delivery, because You know, a person who is acting is not like a person who is permanently employed in terms of decision making. So it's a challenge. It costs the city.
Isn't part of the problem, though, that even though you are saying the city is, the metro is being mismanaged, the reality of the issue is that you also are derelict in your responsibility as opposition parties? Because I'm asking a simple question. How much are you paying officials who are sitting at home? And I would expect each and every one of you to actually be au fait with the numbers and what goes on in the metro with regard to the monies being spent, because you have an absolute fiduciary duty to know what is going on. So I take it, Mr. Truse, you don't know. Maybe let me just run through quickly the other parties on the other side of Mr. Pagati, just to find out if you have any idea of how much you are spending on officials sitting at home.
Sakina, can I come in?
I'll come to you. I'll just take it down the line, please, Mr. Matiwane. Mr. Simani, do you know? Just very quickly, yes, no, so I can move on.
No, we don't.
Don't know. Mr. Tutu?
No, we don't know.
Okay, Mr. Matiwane?
Sakina, the mayor, you posed the question to the mayor, and he said that he could not give you an answer off the hook. As a councillor who serves in Buffalo City, we have asked for reports numerous times of cases of suspended officials. And what you get is a poor quality of reporting that comes from management. So you would end up sitting for 3 to 4 council meetings asking for the same report, because the people who are on suspension, I'll make an example with a high-profile case of the SCM manager that is on suspension, because those people serve particular interests within the municipality. So they are shielded from accountability, because that might expose deeper things that are underlying. So it's not a question of us not having the information or not knowing the exact figures or the number of people that are on suspension. It's a case of the quality of report that you get. In information systems, we have what you call garbage in, garbage out. If you are fed garbage, you will get garbage out. So the quality of the reports leaves us with this particular situation that we find ourselves in. To attest to that, even the executive mayor doesn't know, because the reports are not forthcoming.
Yes and no, and I'll tell you why in a little while. But Mrs. Goti, do you know?
To be honest with you, ma'am, we don't know, honestly. Everything in this municipality is being politicized. It has to go to the affection of a political party. It's not that we are competent, and we are not competent enough to know what we're supposed to know within all the things of the municipality. The thing is, the ANC has a tendency of doing its things on its own time. We are being sabotaged as the opposition parties in some of the projects that are happening in Buffalo City. Take, for instance, there's a project that has been done through the veterans of the ANC, where they are securing all our community halls here in Buffalo City. Those people have been employed. It's the veterans of ANC and APLA. And to find out, the painful thing is, 2 months, they got paid only 2 months. It was only February and March. Ever since today, there's no payment that goes to their pocket.
Okay, so this is my point, that it can't be about rhetoric and platitudes. You are the representatives of the people, and you should know. I didn't ask you for names. I didn't ask you who was suspended. I simply asked you how much is being spent by this metro for people who are sitting at home and earning full salaries. And you were able to tell me there have been people who've been on suspension for at least 5 years, and you still can't tell me how much is being spent. So you raised the issue, Mr. Truse, of having to bring people in to do those jobs and act in that capacity. So we're not even talking about the issue of consultants that need to be brought in to do the work. So you've got people on suspension earning full salaries. Then you've got people acting earning additional salaries for the capacities in which they act for the same job. And then you bring in consultants for the same job. So this metro is the second highest spender when it comes to consultants, not just in the province, in the entire country. And we're going to talk about that. So we'll get into some of the issues. But again, these are the seriousness of the issues that we are dealing with in this metro and why perhaps we're struggling with service delivery. But we'll get into some of these service delivery issues more pertinently after this break.